Oh, here we go. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. And hello, Irina Macare. Good to see you, sweet pea.
Hi. So excited to see you too and to talk with you today.
I know. And I am super, super excited because I'm just going to say to everyone, Irina is someone I've known for many years, and she is a sleep coach. And this has been, I mean, we're going to talk specifically about, caregiving and grief and people who are going through particular kinds of, sleep deprivation because of some of these things. However, Irina, you can coach anybody on any kind of sleep issues, right?
Yes, yes. I usually work with busy people who are wired and tired, that they are exhausted by the end of the day, but when they go to bed, they cannot turn off their mind and they just lie awake in bed, frustrated, trying harder to sleep and failing at that. So that's like my bread and butter. Um, So yeah, but I work with any kind of sleep problems from insomnia to just optimizing and improving sleep.
And what I love so much, and I want to thank you for this right now, because when I reached out to you, I had actually, oh, I should say, so my latest book is called The Love List of a Lifetime, and it is an end of life planner. And so, anyone who knows me knows I've sort of been talking a lot about, all aspects of end of life, including, illness and, the caregiving aspects. And then, of course, also, you can't talk about end of life without talking about grief. And so when things clicked into place, I don't even remember how you and I did this, but we were just like, wow, they fit together.
I think it was on a LinkedIn. I was reading or I was watching a live stream that you did or reading a post that you did, and I did a comment, like I wrote a comment, and it was, oh my God, yes, they're so interrelated because it's the nervous system dysregulation, and that's like the main cause for sleep problems.
Yes, and I also have to say, because I always like to be transparent about this, and you know this because we were just talking about it. I have just been going through all kinds of grief myself. It was like the cosmic something that happened when I launched this book. The universe was like, okay, how about this? And how about this? And so I'm laughing right now, but as you and I were saying, like I have really been in this particular this particular case of having that nervous system deregulation. I keep saying, like, it feels like all of the grief gets landed in sort of a panic in my system. And of course, like you just said, for people who are really busy and their minds are going, you can't shut down, is very similar for grief, right? And I'm going to add in to anybody who's listening who might be caregiving someone who is in their last stages. That's also very similar. Your nervous system is just a wreck. So let's start. I'm going to let you start with wherever you think, because we had such a great time when we were sort of thinking about all the different areas of this. Like, what do you think is the most important piece for people to think about?
Yeah. First of all, before I dive into it, I want to say how sorry I am for what you're going through, and I know this is a part of life, and it doesn't make it easier. So I'm really appreciating you and holding space for you and sending you all the positive vibes and emotion to support you. Um, Grief, it's such a hard hit on our nervous system and on our emotions, and often we get like dysregulated from a nervous system because when we think about from an evolution perspective, being in a community, being in a group, it means safety, and being alone, it meant very high chances to die. So it's wired in our system to feel safe in community. And when someone close dies, that the nervous system interprets this as a danger
Yeah.
because it's a danger for our safety. And then that's the first thing. So the nervous system goes in fight or flight. It scans. It gets activated. So you have high cortisol and all
Yes.
the stress hormones. So loss is a threat of attachment to attachment, and we see this as a problem that it needs to resolve. So the brains keeps scanning continuously. So we're always on activated, even if like sometimes we feel we cannot move, but at the same time we're like hyper, in our
Yes.
mind.
Yes. Yes.
And then the brain, there is another thing, the brain makes prediction, especially if the loved one was living with you in the same house in this, or you had like a very close interaction. The brain makes prediction that the person would be there, and when it's not there, then it fails. It's a loop that fails and continues scanning, and then there is like this state of always waiting for something that it's not there. So it's a conflict, and it's a state of conflict inside conflict.
Ah,
Does this make sense?
total. Yes, total. I know there's a book called The Grieving Brain. And in that book, they talk about that we orient ourselves around the people we love. And so I
Yeah.
think what you're saying makes perfect sense. The brain doesn't know how to orient. And so it's constant. I love what you're saying. And I'm sure that anybody listening, and again, I want to include any caregivers, because there's a lot of anticipatory grief when we're
Yeah.
caregivers at end of life. So it is a little different kind of grief, but also grief. And also, you had brought up a good point, and I think this is a good time to bring this in about the hypervigilance that can happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially if you were a caregiver before the passing away, the loved one passing away, that adds another layer on top of that, because you always scan to hear if you're needed, So you were in a high state of hypervigilance as a part of your caregiver role, and that does not end when the other passes. So build habits to, like, even when you are sleeping, like every slight noise can wake you up because your brain is always scanning. So it takes some time for the person who is a caregiver to be able to reset that and to go not to be in that hyper state of vigilance.
Yeah. And you know what, Irina, what I also have loved so much that you have helped teach me, which I think I knew, but not to the degree which, you've talked to me about, which is how important sleep is for our emotions. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
it sounds like, oh yeah, well, of course, but I would really love to hear you say a little bit more about that. Like, yeah, how does sleep help our emotions?
Yeah. So I will start with saying a lot of people think that sleep is a passive state, but actually our brain is so active when we are sleeping. And sleep has different stages of have different stages, REM and non-REM, if you have heard about this. And basically, in our REM sleep, in the stages of sleep when we are in REM sleep, this is when our brain process emotions and process the emotion that has happened throughout the day. And what's happening is that the brain is able to process those emotions while we have less neuroadrenaline in our brain, and this is like a stress hormone. And
Yeah.
basically, when we are sleeping, that stress hormone is zero. So it ables to relive those experiences without re-traumatizing the body. And basically, when you wake up, you have processed somehow like those emotions, and it feels like more, you still have those emotions, but they have a less impact on you. So with time, through multiple processes of sleep, those emotions are being reinterpreted in your body, if I can say like that.
That is, thank you. I mean, I love talking to you because it's like this all makes such sense, right? Like, and it's also, and my heart goes out because I'm also in the state where it's like sleep has been very difficult for me. And my heart goes out to anybody who's experiencing whether it's grief or again, your caregiving. I'm also thinking, of course, of brand new parents who go through this because they're so
Oh,
hyper vigilant. And, you know, one of the things that many people do to sort of help, or we think we're helping, is, oh, well, maybe I'll have a glass of wine before bed. Or, you know, here in California, you know, weed is legal. So I think some people use that to help sleep. And I'm curious, what do you think about those things?
I can totally understand how people would reach out for alcohol or weed to numb that pain. The pain is like so raw that we want some break from it. And it's so easy to reach out to alcohol and weed. And they help us with numbness, with sedation. So, but what happens is alcohol and weed suppress REM sleep. So it actually helps you in the short term with processing, like
Yeah.
running away from the emotion, but in long term it does you a disfavor because you are not able to enter into those stages of sleep where your brain is processing those emotion and help them feel less raw. So I
Well,
would recommend not to, if possible, and to find other ways to um, diminish that pain that you're going through.
yeah, you know, and I thank you for saying, because I know, like, right, like we think, because you're right, in the moment it does sort of numb. And you
Yeah.
know, and the other thing that again, you know, I feel like I'm so in it right now, which, you know, helps me to be able to talk about it. But it's like one of the things is also because it's like there's something about nighttime. I don't think I'm alone in this, that it's scarier. You know, there's something like that. It's like it's almost like all of the monsters wait for us to come. And I know this is probably similar even with people who aren't going through grief or who aren't caregivers, that it's like even if you think you're just like having just like, oh, I'm just overwhelmed and crazy, crazy day, but you lie down and all the monsters of like worry and regret and but particularly with grief. So
Yes.
what do you have to say? How can you help with
Oh,
that?
I have so many things to say on this because this is also happening in people with insomnia that are not grief related. But I think when it comes to grief, there is like extra layers of pain. During the day, we get distracted. We don't like all the external sensories and input help us to not look at the thoughts and the emotions that we have inside. And when night comes, you're lying in the dark, where in the dark everything feels like more scary. How many times, like even before you've been grieving, you had worries that came to you in bed at night, and the next day when you wake up is like, why I was so worried about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
things get amplified in the dark where you don't have any sensory input to distract yourself. And the other thing is, like, what I like to say is to make a comparison with a pressure cooker. So during the day you accumulate pressure through like stress, emotions that you push down.
Yeah.
And when you're in the bed, like all that pressure accumulated, and you don't have any power to keep the seal on, and it just explodes, and you feel it like amplified by the darkness, by the fact that it accumulated throughout the day. And with grief, especially if the loved one was with you in the bed, you feel that even like
Mhm.
harder because you were like, I know someone who was in our coaching program that she lived with her husband for like decades, and
Mhm.
then now she he was not there with her in bed, and it was so hard to go to sleep. And that's another thing that I see experience in people with grief. They do like procrastinate bed because their bed is a place where they're afraid to go because of all of those emotions and thoughts that are happening, because of reminding themselves of the loved one. So bed becomes the place where you worry and everything that is bad is happening. And they push sleep time further and further. So they get sleep deprived, and then they don't get that sleep that they need to help them with processing emotions.
It's so crazy, isn't it? As I'm talking to you, Irina, I'm thinking like, wow, like what a terrible system, right? That it's like, so what happens is it's like we're going through something very traumatic. Sleep is something that can actually help us recover, but it's exactly the thing that is really scary. Nighttime is scary. It's when everything, the pressure, like you said, the pressure cooker happens. Do you have any? I know we've been sort of like focusing on like, oh my gosh, here's all of the kind of hard stuff that can happen. Do you have any help for like what can we do?
Yeah. Okay. There are things that you can do, and they're not like a hot fix, like they're going to work right away. But basically, so because we're so in the fight or flight state, which is our sympathetic nervous system, we want to engage the other part of our nervous system, which is allows us to relax and feel safe. So feeling safe, making a way to feel safe, it's one way, either by saying, this is grief and I'm safe, just saying out loud and recognizing the feeling. So
Huh.
saying out loud or writing it, processing all those emotions instead of hiding from them, writing and externalizing them. So often when we journal or we talk with someone, trying to process those emotions, we make some room between our emotion and ourselves, and we are not our emotion. So it's easier to react to them. And what I love for activating the parasympathetic nervous system is grounding, getting back into your body, because often we are in our head. We are either looking in the past where we are grieving, or looking in the future where we are anxious, but we are not in the present moment, because the present moment is so painful. So getting back into your body and trying to one exercise that I love, it's called the five senses. So getting in touch with your five senses: sight, taste, hear, smell. So basically you look around. So the five is like five things that you can see, and you say, you name them out loud. So I'm seeing like a wall, or my screen, or a camera. So you say five things. Then it's like four things that you can hear. So you hear like different sounds and you name them out loud. And the same with smell, and with touch and
Yes.
taste. So this helps you get reconnected with your body, so get grounded in the body, and that creates a sense of safeness, because the only moment when you are safe is the present moment.
I'm gonna reflect back to you, because what you just said was so huge and so important. I mean, actually, two things you said that for me, I do this a lot, like hand on heart, because it feels like it calms a little bit. But to say,
Yes.
this is grief and I'm safe. This is grief and I'm safe. I love that. I think what you're saying is just being able to hear it out loud. But then the other thing that you just said, and I practice Zen, and right, the present moment is where we're safe, right? Like so often the like voices in the head want us to like go in the past and either like regret what's lost or regret what we didn't do, or go in the future, like you said, and where it's, especially when you're grieving, it's just like that person's still not going to be here. I'm so, or if I'm caregiving, I'm worried about what's going to happen after they pass away. And so when you said those like, oh, I see this, I see that, I smell or I hear this, that it brings us into our bodies. And,
Yes.
I really, really love that, because it's like, that is, as much as our minds will tell us that we're not safe, again, particularly when we're grieving, because we're looking for that person that we love so much, but our bodies might feel safe because of your practice. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And I will give you two more quick ones. So, because you mentioned like touch, warmth is another way, like having something warm,
Well,
or the opposite, an ice cube on the face. So the cold on the skin can help us like get back to our senses. So either something warm, a warm blanket, a warm shower, a hot bath, or some ice cubes on the face. I know that the ice cubes on the face also helps with anxiety. So it's another tool used in different contexts. Yes.
I did
So
not know that. And I mean, one of the things that I've been doing when I've been in such grief is I have been taking a hot bath every night before bed, and I put Epsom salts in that smell like eucalyptus. So that gives, I think, to your point, I think it's the scent is really
yes.
soothing to me.
And
But oh, go ahead.
and the hot bath has other properties that helps with sleep because it helps with body temperature regulation. So in order for us to sleep, our core body temperature has to go down with a few degrees, and taking a hot bath helps move the blood to extremity to do the heat exchange. So it takes down the core body temperature. So it I don't know if you experience it, but like every time when I'm taking a hot bath, I feel so drowsy after that, and I feel like ready
Yeah,
to sleep. So
yeah.
that's one of the mechanism that it creates to help with sleep.
I love that. And, I also did not know that ice helps with anxiety, which again, yeah, that's really
It's
good.
senses. It's basically helping you to get back into your body. It's the senses. Skin, it's very sensitive, especially if you put it on your face. If as again, like if it is safe, some people may have like skin sensitivity, but like on your hand or on your face, on your neck as well,
Yeah,
and the neck, like we have the vagus nerve that goes through the neck,
right.
so we can activate that. And with that, like thinking of the root problem, like activating the sympathetic parasympathetic nervous system, we can think of all the tools that help with that: the breathing, the humming, yawning. Humming helps with activating the through the vagus nerve, the vibration from the vocal cords
Oh,
activates like the vagus nerve, so it helps us with stress. The that is so old, the
yeah,
it's
yeah,
basically working through that mechanism. And this is one tool that I like to use in my practice. You don't have to you can sing a song by humming, like just humming, hum a song instead of just doing but to amplify it, you can take like a long breath, and on the exhale you hum with exhale. So that has like twofold on it, because the exhalation, it's where we activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So you hum and you exhale, so it's a double fold.
Irina, these are so, oh my gosh, I love this so much. It's funny. I feel calmer just hearing you talk about. I mean, I love that. Like, I'm not even humming at the moment, but there's something even thinking about, like,
Imagining about it, right? It
yes,
helps.
because you're also, I think, back to what you said earlier, I'm in grief and I'm safe. Hearing an expert talk about, like, listen, there's these things you can do, and they will, like, they're not a fit, it's not going to fix everything, but anything, like, and I think anyone listening now or later who is either again in grief, or you're caretaking, or you're in some sort of high stress situation, simply knowing you might have a moment of relief can change everything, because otherwise it starts to feel like, and our minds will do this number on us, like this is like rock solid, there's like you can't get relief from this. At least that's what my mind. So to hear you say, well, try this, or try this, or try this, or try this, it makes me start to feel like, okay, I'm going to have moments where I'm going to feel relief, and that will help me get to the next moment.
Basically, it gives you hope.
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And if you have time, I know we're a little bit over
I do.
time. You have a few minutes, because one of the things
Yes.
that came up when we were talking about the hot bath, it reminded me. So one of the things that happens for me is that sometimes, like, I'm just exhausted, right? I mean, grief is so exhausting, and I will take a hot bath, and the eucalyptus, and it relaxes me, and I'll fall asleep. Like, I usually listen to a meditation, and I'll fall asleep. But then, like 2 hours later, boom, I just like wake up in a complete panic. My heart is
Yes.
racing. Yeah. So
So there are multiple things happening here. We've talked about the REM sleep and the fact that we process emotion in REM sleep. When we are going through grief, there is the body sends a signal that we need more REM sleep, and because our emotions are so intense, we can get like vivid dreams, and we can wake up from those. So REM is we live. We sleep in cycles, and REM is at the end of each cycle.
okay.
And usually at the end of each cycle, we slightly wake up, even if we are not aware. So having vivid dreams and having so much intense emotion, when we wake up, actually our cortisol is like up and we're more aware. And that's one layer. The other layer is like, even when we are under sleep, our nervous system still is scanning, because we don't want to be like so deep in sleep that from an evolutionary perspective, like some predator can eat us, or can kill us.
Oh,
So the brain is always scanning, and if it doesn't feel safe, the sleep is, you can get out of the sleep easier. So basically, there's twofold. Again, is like your REM, your body asks for more REM sleep, and the emotions are more vivid. The nightmares or the dreams are more intense, because we need to process everything. And then at the same time, we don't feel safe, so the brain is scanning for dangers. And when you wake up, the heart racing, it's a sign of of stress signals.
yeah. And so a lot of times, like, so, I try all kinds of different things, but it's like, sometimes I'll try like listening to a meditation again, or I'll just, I don't know what, but a lot of times it feels like it ramps up instead of helping me to fall back asleep. What do you suggest
Yeah.
to people who wake up in the
So
middle of the night?
yeah, that's such a common thing, and also with insomnia as well in general. And the problem is, like, when we are trying to force us to fall back asleep, that's another activating signal. So it's a paradox effect. The more we try, the more we get activated. So the whole idea is to stop trying. Easier said than done. And
Right.
if you find yourself being frustrated in bed, um, our brain is very good at making association. And if you're for a long periods of time in bed, tossing and turning, worrying, and stressing, our brain associates bed with wakefulness and with the
Right.
place where we worry or we grieve. So
Yes.
the advice, like one of the practices in cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia, is to um, remove yourself from bed, to go into a different place where it's dimly lit and non-stimulating, to do any non-stimulating activity, either reading or light stretching, or like knitting, or something that it's not stimulating, that you can do in a dim lit environment. And basically, when you're back, when you feel sleepy again, you can go back into bed and try to sleep again, but like without the pressure, without the effort, just allowing and fighting wakefulness.
Wow, that is so helpful, because I think you're of course you're right. It's your expertise. But it's like, but it is true. It's like, I gotta fall asleep, I gotta fall asleep, I gotta fall asleep. And you're right.
Yes.
It just is, so it adds to the stress, right?
Yeah.
So
And I would say, give yourself self-compassion, because like you're going through a very hard period. Don't be hard with yourself. Don't try to make things. Just allow yourself to be there, and just be self-compassion with yourself.
oh, yeah, that's such great advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love, I mean, I just have to tell you, like, the work you're doing, it's so powerful. And I think
Oh,
it's,
thank you.
I think it's something that, until someone goes through an issue with sleep, we maybe take it for granted how important it is. And again, I know that we're focusing in on, particularly on grief and on people who are caregiving, but there are so many situations in the world right now that are causing people upset and stress and sort of, I'm thinking, I mean, you could probably speak to this, but I'm guessing that so many people are experiencing sleep issues. And just hearing some of these practices can be, just like you said earlier, it can offer hope. Like, oh, other people go through this. There's someone like, Irina, who has deeply studied and researched and can help me with these practices. Even that, I think, just brings like a sense of calm.
Yeah. And one message that I want to everybody to hear is that sleep is something that we don't do. It's happened to us. Your body knows how to sleep. The same as your body knows how to breathe, how to eat, your body knows how to sleep. It's just that you need to create the right conditions for sleep to happen to you. You don't make sleep. Sleep happens to you. Sleep is a passive state. Insomnia, it's an active state when you're trying and you're doing things. So by just removing yourself from the sleep, and again, like what you can do is to help your nervous system to feel safe, to be in a parasympathetic rest and digest state, and that's the most that you can do. So you can sleep.
Irina, I love, you know what? And I also love that. I mean, I love all the tips you've given. That was so beautiful and so calming what you just said. I think there's something also, because most of us, like, we're in this world where we have to make everything happen, or at least many of us are like, I gotta make this happen. And I love what you're saying. Like, your body knows how to sleep. Your body wants to sleep. It's almost as if, like, a lot of times in my spiritual practice, it's like about getting out of the way somehow.
Exactly. That's exactly, you said it so well.
Yeah. And I love that I don't think I would have connected that until you had just said what you said, but that really helps me, like, to kind of know, like, this isn't one more like battle that I have to do. Now I have to conquer how to sleep. Really, what I'm hearing you say is, like, maybe throughout the day, again, I'm just going to repeat for anyone listening, but it's like the practices of, like, for me, hand and heart, and like, I'm in grief and I'm safe. And the sensorizing, making sure that we're naming things that we see or we smell, or and the breathing that you talked about, making sure that a deep breath in, and on the exhale, humming, or that longer exhale, like throughout the day. Perhaps if I'm practicing more of those things, maybe, and then a hot bath before I go to bed, maybe the cumulative effect will sort of just calm a little bit.
And you can also take some time before bed, like an hour or two before bed, to process your emotion, to journal. And that would help to externalize, like, emotions, so they don't show up in bed. So you deal with them before that. And I want to say something else is, like, don't think of sleepiness while you're going through this as another problem. Sleepiness in grief is part of the grief. It's part of the process. It's not another problem that you have to solve. It's part of the grieving process.
Oh my gosh. I just had a big sigh. I don't know if you heard it, but Irina, I'm so grateful to you. And again, like, I wasn't even putting this all together. Sadly, I don't even have anything about this in my book, but now I'm going to, like, I'm glad we have this conversation, because it's like, there's just so many things that happen to us in grief, or again, in caretaking. And you've offered some amazing tips. And you also, I just want to say, you have such a beautiful, calming presence. And I'm sure anybody working with you, who is working with you as a coach, and I will put Irina's information in the comments. So anybody who's watching this now, you can find a way to connect, because you also do have just a lovely presence that itself, I imagine, is very supportive for people, just to have, like, you're just kind of very, very calm, and you have got such a good energy.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate your words.
Yeah, well, it's true. And I'm so grateful. I mean, thank you for giving your time so freely right now to help and talk about this. And, it's my hope that, anybody who's watching now, or hopefully in the replays, that, that there's people out there who will put these practices into place and find some comfort, find some resting places, find also, like, to your point, and I just want to end us with that, that it's like our bodies know how to sleep, and we can just help, we can help it by getting out of the way as much as possible. So thank you so much, Irina. This was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to speak about this. It's such an important topic.
It is. Mwah. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.